Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and are having a flare-free day. Thanks so much for coming to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to dive into some natural pain remedies that we can use both at home and away from home to help manage our endometriosis pain and discomfort. Now, in my recent video, I talked about how I have gone more of like a natural pain remedy route for my endo. I was on pain medication to help manage my endometriosis cramping and really intense flares. It did work with the physical aspect of managing some pain, but it didn't necessarily match my mental state. It kind of altered the way that I felt. And that's just me and my body and my personal journey. Some medications in line with your doctor and general practitioner work wonders to help manage pain for endometriosis. Just my personal story didn't necessarily work for me. So I've gone more of a natural pain route. I think because of that experience being on a pain medication that didn't work for me and made me feel depressed and had different thoughts that were kind of scary. I think I'm a little nervous to go back on pain medication that addresses endometriosis in that way. But for me, there are natural pain remedies that have helped manage the pain associated with an incoming endo flare, as well as managing the pain and discomfort after a flare. I wanted to dive into some things that have helped manage the amount of flares that I have, the intensity of those flares, and just make me feel a little bit better health-wise and body-wise when it comes to managing my pain naturally. Love to, again, hear what you do down below. If it's you opt for pain medications in line with your doctor, or you're doing a more natural pain route for endo as well. Medical disclaimer, please make sure that you talk to your doctor ahead of time before changing any nutrition or starting new exercises or starting any new routine when it comes to your chronic condition. You just want to make sure that it aligns with you and your body and any medications that you're currently taking. The first natural pain remedy that I opt for, and I think a lot of individuals in the community with endo opt for, is heat therapy. A lot of individuals have heating bags, so you can have like this magic bean bag and you put it in the microwave and it kind of heats up and it's really nice and warm. Or hot water bottles. It's kind of like a plastic water bottle that's really thin, and you fill it with really hot water and you just place it on the area that you're feeling pain and discomfort. Heat therapy is really a great natural way to alleviate muscle cramping and muscle tension. It kind of signals to the body that, okay, it's okay to relax that section of the body, and it's kind of like a soothing hug, I find. One thing with endometriosis and that I've seen in the community is that heat therapy sometimes can be dangerous if used directly on the skin. So make sure that if you're opting for a hot water bottle or a hot magic bean bag, I don't know if anyone else knows that or if it's just a Canadian thing, but make sure that you're not directly putting it on your skin. Make sure there's a layer in between your skin and the heat, as you can have burns associated with that type of therapy. So safety warning, make sure that you're super safe when using heat therapy. But again, that is a really natural way to alleviate pain and discomfort and cramping associated with endometriosis. Individuals with endo have documented that if they do consume highly processed foods or highly inflammatory foods, they have outlined that sometimes their endo flares last longer, the flares are more intensified, their pain is worse. And so dietary changes or nutritional adjustments in line with your doctor or GP can sometimes alleviate the intensity of flares that we have. And some individuals have outlined that nutrition has really helped alleviate the pain and discomfort associated with endo that they have. So a little experiment that we can try in line with our doctor and nutritionist, if we have one, is kind of eliminating or adjusting the amount of processed foods that we consume, as well as the amount of caffeine and alcohol that we consume. Caffeine and alcohol have also been outlined as endo triggers. Alcohol, I've actually kind of eliminated completely from my diet. I don't really drink alcohol that much. If I do go out, I opt for like what's called a placebo. It's a non-alcoholic cocktail. So it looks the same, it looks really pretty, but I'm not taking in the alcohol portion. So taking on some nutritional adjustments with your day-to-day routine, you may find some changes with your endo flares that are positive in the sense that you don't feel as heavy, as bloated, as inflamed, that causes more endo flares to come forward for you. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, salmon, mackerel, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts have anti-inflammatory properties that may help manage the pain associated with endometriosis. Fruits and and vegetables are also great options when it comes to nutrition for endometriosis. Think really dark leafy greens, so spinach, kale, arugula, broccoli. Really heavy green foods can be really beneficial for managing our pain. Herbal teas are also a great natural way to manage endometriosis flares. Ginger tea, green tea, chamomile tea, all of these teas have anti-inflammatory soothing properties that can help manage endometriosis pain. I also find that teas are like an internal warm hug that my body needs, especially after a flare-up. I just find that I need that warmth and that kind of like internal hug to just comfort me after that flare. So I'd be curious to know if teas are something that you've opted for in your natural pain routine for endo. Exercise, and I do want to stress that I don't mean like high intensity exercises or high output exercises to manage endo. I've asked this question on my Instagram and socials before on whether exercise supports your endometriosis in the sense that you feel better, you don't have more intensified flares, or does exercise trigger an endo flare? And the results are split on this. So some individuals find that exercising really triggers an endo flare. They don't feel good at all. And when I was doing high intensity workouts like spin classes or running long distances, I would actually trigger an endo flare in the middle of a class or middle of a street where I was running. And so I had to really manage what I thought of exercise wise for managing my endo pain, because I wanted to be active and healthy, but I didn't want to trigger an endo flare while doing that. So it was a trial and error process when it came to exercise. So for me, when I think of exercise, I think of walking. So not long distance running, but I think of walking just to support my cardiovascular health. Yoga or stretching. Sometimes yoga poses can trigger an endo flare if it's like core related or like twisting and turning, especially Pilates. So definitely be mindful of when you think of yoga, it seems more like low-key exercise, but it's not. So just be careful, because sometimes some movements can trigger an endo flare, for me at least. I don't know if it's the same for you, but just be mindful about the abdominal area and twist and turny moves that can kind of trigger an endo flare to come forward. Swimming, I've also heard, is a great avenue to manage endometriosis flares in an exercise form. Ultimately, physical exercise and movement can help alleviate inflammation in the body and can support reducing pain overall when it comes to endometriosis. Acupuncture is something that I opted for at the beginning of my endo journey when I was doing more of like a natural route. Acupuncture was really beneficial for my lower back, where I held a lot of cramping tension after an endo flare. So acupuncture is when really thin needles are inserted into the skin at strategic points where pain is located. It is commonly used to treat pain associated with chronic conditions. So if your insurance covers it or you're interested in taking it on to just try it out, I do recommend wearing comfy clothes to the appointment. You do go through a consultation with the individual and you can ask so many questions. I asked so many questions about it. I'm like, will it hurt? Will it not? What I will say about my acupuncture experience was that it was somewhat uncomfortable in a sense. When they like put it in the strategic point, I could feel the nerve like unraveling, if that makes sense. Not unraveling, but I could just feel like, oh, like they knew that that was the point that needed support. And it wasn't painful, but it was a little bit uncomfy at points. But afterwards, I felt so much better, and I felt like they are professionals and know exactly what to do and are there to answer your questions. So I'd be curious to hear if acupuncture is something that you've tried or are interested in trying. Mind-body techniques. So what I mean by this is during an endometriosis flare-up, sometimes there's nothing that can support me in that. I opt for heat to support me. I opt for teas afterwards. But during a huge flare-up, sometimes nothing happens and nothing works except for connecting to myself and my mind and my body in that moment and supporting myself through positive reinforcement and positive talk, saying, this won't last forever. It's not going to be here forever. I've lived through this before. The pain is here, but like I am stronger than it. Having positive reinforcement during that is the best thing that I can do for myself and my body in that moment. Having positive reinforcement, I found, was just made the experience not enjoyable, but like made me feel like stronger and that I had the experience under control. And that included my breath as well. Breathing in that moment is like the one thing I felt like I had control over. I can't control my body right now. I can't control the amount of pain that I feel. I can't control where I am having the endo flare, but what I can control is the way that I talk to myself and the way that I'm breathing. Deep breathing exercises, so focusing on the breath, counting the breath that I would have in and counting it out to have something to focus on other than the pain I was experiencing. This really helped manage my stress during the experience, made my body recognize that I'm safe and that I'm in control in some way, and that I'm there supporting my body mind-wise, saying, I'm not alone, I'm not gonna leave you behind, body, like we're in it together. And in that mindset, I just felt a little bit more in control of the experience. Breathing also allowed me to, in a way, reduce pain perception. In a split instance, I wasn't focused solely on the pain I was experiencing. I was focusing on the breath. So it allowed my brain to just have a sense of peace during the experience, if that makes sense. Hydration, staying well hydrated can be really beneficial in alleviating pain and discomfort and cramping. Adequate sleep. Now, again, I am a new mom. I have a daughter that wakes up in the middle of the night, and I have a puppy that wakes up in the middle of the early morning. So my adequate sleep is like a roller coaster, but what I'm trying to do is go to bed at a reasonable hour. We put our phones away in the garage at 9 p.m. so we're not tempted to look at digital devices to stay up longer. But just setting up our routines to have adequate sleep can really help manage our pain and our stress levels. So stress, I find, raises the amount of intensity for endo flares for me. It causes more flares to come up if I'm stressed. So managing my stress by having less digital influences before bed and just having adequate sleep is something that has been really beneficial for my pain management journey. Supplements are also really beneficial when talking about your endometriosis pain management journey. Talk with your healthcare provider ahead of time, especially if you're on pain medication. You just want to make sure that nothing's going to interact with medications that you're currently on. And before taking any supplements, it's really good to talk to your doctor generally to just get an inside scoop of what the benefits can be. But some supplements that individuals opt for, again, is that omega-3 fatty acid. It helps reduce inflammation in the body. Magnesium, I've heard magnesium is amazing for endo. Oftentimes people get roll-on magnesium. So instead of taking it orally, they can roll it onto the actual skin and kind of rub it in, and they feel a sense of relief when it comes to that cramping and that discomfort in the abdominal area. Turmeric is also really good, an anti-inflammatory supplement that people can take. I'd be really curious to hear down below what supplements that you have opted for in your endometriosis pain management journey. Pelvic floor therapy is the last one that I'll touch upon. I took on pelvic floor therapy because I heard a lot about it. I heard that it was really beneficial as a natural route to manage endometriosis pain. There is a professional there that walks you through the exercises, helps strengthen the pelvic floor. It helps reduce pain associated with endo. I'd be really curious to hear if you've done pelvic floor therapy. So yeah, I hope that this video has helped. I would be really curious to hear if you've done natural pain methods for endometriosis. Anything that I've missed, feel free to comment it down below in the comments, as I'm sure it would help somebody else in their endometriosis journey. But with that, I cannot wait to talk to you on the next one and to hear all of your pain management techniques in the comments down below.